Everyone, it is the Friday night live stream. Let's go! Wow. Hello. How's everyone doing? Hello. Oh man, Friday could not come quick enough. I'll tell you that. Just Guy, how many November Novella live streams do we have left? Are you ready for this? 5. Isn't that crazy? As of, let's see, we've done 3 weeks of live streams in November. We did 1 week of live streams planning our stories that we tell during November. And we have 1 more week of actual live stream writing. It came and went so quickly. Just when you thought you were ready to start Novella November, we're in like the final week. And for everyone who's been here, ride or die, look at us. Look at us. Look at all the writing we did. That's what made it go by so fast, I'm telling you. All that focus, all that, putting your head down for 20 minutes and writing and then being like, hey, there's another 500 words. Doing that 3-4 times a live stream. Next thing you know, you're at 20,000 words. DC Lee says, oh, no writing on the weekend, no live streams. I'm not here to stop you from writing on the weekend, but I have things that I also need to be doing. The weekends when I do all my errands. But no, we don't do any of the live streams on the weekends. You should definitely write, though. Definitely write. Let me get a blanket here. Oh, man. You should have said write or die, not ride or die. You know what? Future Carson, take note. Everyone in this chat right now, me and you, we're ride or die. Ride or die. Oh, man. I think it was Wednesday. If you were here on Wednesday. Phantom, hello, what's up? I think it was Wednesday, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we opened up a post from the writing subreddit. I can't remember if it was Wednesday. They all blur together. It might have been Monday. It might have been Tuesday. That was called Lessons from 6 Books and 10 Years of Writing. And there was a couple points that this the person who wrote the post was talking about with in regards to their journey with writing, the lessons that they learned, the mistakes that they made. In preparation for the live stream, I poked my head over in the writing subreddit, and lo and behold, that same person has made another post, and I can't wrap my head around this. This post is called More Lessons, not from 6 books and 10 years of writing, but from 10 books and 10 years of writing. This dude's been sleeping on 4 books that he didn't tell us about. What's up with that? Or did he write 4 books in the past 2 days? My God. I don't know, but I figured we might as well take a look at that as well since we saw that first post. Okay. So if you remember this last post, this guy was talking about how it takes a while to find your voice in writing, about things like, I'm trying to remember what other points, what other points that this person, you know what? Here, we'll refresh our memory. Let's open this link in a new tab. What did this guy said? Finding your voice isn't what you think it is. We talked about that. That was a good little point. Good little point of discussion. Marketing and selling really is that hard. JP, hello. There is one really big decision to make. What are you writing for? I didn't think that was as big of a point to talk about. And you're not as good as you think you are? Okay. Those are his 4 points. 2 days later, this guy's like, you know what? Just kidding. I've written another 4 books, and I got more to talk about. So, I read through this a little bit. Here are 4 more tough lessons. Number 1, you have to try things. This sounds a lot like what this guy was talking about previously with finding your voice. You know, maybe you start writing in one genre and it's not quite, you're not quite fitting in there, or you try writing another genre and it feels more natural, or you think you want to be this philosophical literature, classic literature kind of storyteller, and it turns out you want to do urban fantasy, and finding where your voice fits in all the genres that you write. That can take some trial and error. Kind of reiterates here. You have to try things. I thought that me personally, I am such a big fan of fantasy that I thought naturally I wanted to write science fiction and fantasy. And I still think that's the case. But I think that it definitely pays dividends to go out of just your one genre that you think you might be meant to write and start writing other things. One, it's just fun. I mean, writing a book is of course fun, but like Isabel says, I really thought I was meant for novels until I was forced to write a bunch of short stories for class. And then it turns out you liked writing short stories. I'll take that's what it means. Justin says, I found my place. I live in the trash heap. Lantern Valley, hello, huzzah. All right. I do think you should go out of your comfort zone in a couple different cases and try writing in different sort of genres. And a great place to do that, just like Isabel's saying in the chat over there, is a great place to do that is in short stories. And if you've never wrote, if you've never created, nice. That's how you dodge a confusing word when you're in the middle of speaking. If you've never created a short story, a great time to do it is in our Discord, linked down below, where we do writing challenges originally it was 4 to 6 weeks. Now it's 6 to 8 weeks. Novella November's throwing everything off too. But we do some writing challenges over in the Discord where we have a theme and you can interpret that theme however you want and write a short story. And that's a great time to say, like, you know, I've never tried writing horror, or I've never tried writing romance, or I've never tried writing slice of life. That's the time to do it. Garrett says, I thought I was going to write contemporary romance, but I found fantasy is more my style and still has romance. You know what? That's awesome. You know, you found a tangential sort of auxiliary genre that complements it, especially when that's a big trend right now. So, hey, that's not bad. Isabel says, when will the next writing challenge be? So I have a couple things I'm focused on for December. I'll go ahead and tell you. Announcement, Discord community announcement. In December, I have something I'm focused on. What I want us to do, and I've been thinking about this for a while, is I would love for the writing theory community to put together the de facto greatest hits writing advice video YouTube playlist. And here's what I'm thinking. We put up a forum in the Discord. We encourage everyone to go find what is the one writing video that you found on YouTube that unlocked something in your brain, that blew the doors wide open to let you start to write the way you wanted to write, whether it's productivity, whether it's characters, whether it's setting and atmosphere and world building, whether it's just the writer's life of understanding that, like, some days are good and some days are bad. Whatever the video was that made the most sense to you and helped you in the greatest way, every user in the Discord gets to submit one video. And all of those videos go into one mega writing theory community playlist. And I'm thinking every year we do one. That could be a fun December thing to do. So that's what I'm focused on doing in December. And I would love to reach out to some of the writing YouTubers and their videos that you recommend, and sort of let them know what we're doing. And, like, we want them to come be part of what we all have going on over here. So December, I'm focused on doing that. I think we're going to do our next writing challenge in January. And I think it might be a little bit bigger than our past ones. You see, our past writing challenges have been like trying to, like, figure out what the process needed to be like, what the infrastructure was going to be. But now I'm ready. Maybe have a writing challenge that expands beyond the writing theory borders. We'll see what happens. Pain Games, I don't know anything, says, I just saw your world building video. Just want to say, I don't know. I just do stuff that I think is epic and try to make it realistic. And that's okay. And that's okay. Landon Valley, that's a fun thing for December. I think so. I think it's one of those things like, you know, in a lot of times in, like, my family, December rolls around, you're doing lots of, like, kind of holiday things. You just have something going on the TV. Going through a playlist or something. We might do it with, like, movies. We might do a YouTube video playlist. And hey, maybe you put on the writing playlist. Maybe you catch something out of the corner of your eye and you're like, oh my God, that's it. Brandon Sanderson, you were totally right. Stephen King, you were totally wrong. So that's pretty fun. That's what I'm doing in December. And I got some other behind the scenes things, but that's mostly things I got to focus on. But December's busy for me, meaning January is going to be sort of the target for the next writing challenge. I'm excited for it. That would be a great time to try new things, try new genres, dip your toes in a writing software that you don't know about, or try writing in a different place, or write to different music. Try those things out, because it's what you do in those kind of little, like, short story contests that teach you how you can write better. You may think, you know what, I only ever write in Google Docs. It's free, it's easy, it's accessible. But for this writing challenge, maybe I want to try Scrivener. Easy. Download the demo. 30 days. Easy. Or you're like, you know what? I'm going to try Babisco. I'm going to try Campfire. I'm going to try NovelPad. Maybe there's a software out there that you can try just for this one short story, and then you're like, oh my God, that's what I've been waiting for. That's what I need. Oh, there you go. All right. Let's go with our next point. What's our dude who wrote 4 books in the past 2 days? What's his next point? You have to finish things. You have to finish things. I talk about this in my 5 lessons I learned from writing. Oh, wait, hold up. I gotta do the switch real fast. 5 things I learned from writing Starlight Farm's Kennel for Talking Dogs. At some point, you gotta send your book out. You just gotta be like, here you go, world. Yes, I know there's things I still want to fix. Yes, I know that like I could do another 2 rounds of editing and maybe catch 2 more typos. Or maybe you're like, you know what? What if I changed this one plot section and it would have a bigger payoff over there? At some point, you gotta send it out. That is a big lesson to learn. The perfectionists out there, you're gonna hate this. Perfectionists hate this one trick. Just finishing something. All right, what else we got here? I'll never finish things. I'll always work on something. You know what? You can work on different things and also finish them. And that's pro advice right there. Isabel says, I love spamming lit journals with no reading fees with my writing. I know in my heart I should have edited more. That feeling never goes away. That feeling never goes away. Sounds like he figured out he had to finish 4 things in particular. Pro tip, when you're bored of working on a project, just be done with it. Easy. It ends on a cliffhanger because I didn't write the second half. We have to write and finish. What? Finish things. And Juliet, back at it. Let's go. This is an important thing to figure out, though. This is an important thing that at some point you got to say, I don't think I'm that kind of person that can just be like, all right, this book is now perfect. At some point you have to be like, you know, I learned a lot and I can't wait to apply that knowledge to the next project. That's the big takeaway. Be careful who you show your writing to. Be careful who you show your writing to. Now, the poster here talks about like, my friends don't like cerebral sci-fi, so they'll never have anything useful to say about my piece. I should have sought out sci-fi readers to get feedback. Here's the deal. I don't agree with a lot of this. I agree with the sentiment, but I don't agree with a lot of what he's writing here. And let me expand on this. You should be careful who you show your writing to. Writing is a very personal thing. The story that you write naturally has so much of like your passion. You put 40 hours into writing. You put 80 hours into writing this first draft, and now you got to edit it so many different times. And, you know, you're going to be the most invested person in your own writing. Here's the deal. You should show your writing to people. But you should realize that different audiences will give you different kinds of feedback. And it's up to you to value that feedback appropriately and to be able to process that feedback appropriately. Real talk. Here's what happens. Here's the deal. Let's say you write a story. You love that story. It's a pirate sci-fi story, treasure planet. You think it's great. You love it. You put a lot of work into it. You show your 3 best friends your draft. What is the purpose of showing that draft to your friends? Do you want them to say, wow, this is a great book? Do you want them to say, wow, you're a great writer? Or do you want them to say, I felt like the middle part lagged behind. The pacing was a lot slower. Or do you want them to say, It's good. Because that's most of the kind of advice or feedback you're going to get from close friends, close family that you share your writing with. When you say, hey, cousin, hey, brother, hey, dad, uncle, I wrote this. What do you think? And they read it. If they come back and they say, I didn't like it, are you going to feel bad? They might think you're going to feel bad. So they'll probably just say, it's good. Wow, this is really good. If you show your stories to, let's say you write science fiction, and you show your story to someone who doesn't read science fiction, and they come back and they say it's not for me, what did you learn from that? What was the purpose of sharing that? What are you going to do with the feedback? If they came back and said, this section was really dense in how space travel works, and then you, the sci-fi addict, is like, that's just science fiction. Nothing happened. No, there was no benefit out of that interaction. Which is why, everyone here, this is really important, which is why when you are sharing your writing with people, you need to have different expectations for different kinds of readers. Meaning, if you share it with a family member, you should realize that this is just you saying, I did this and I want to share it with you. Not I did this and I want to share it with you for these different reasons. Because 99% of the time, if you share something with family, it's probably going to be like, that's good. You should keep doing that, which is great. You need that. You should want that. You should want that. If you want actual feedback on your writing and you share it with someone, you need to ask for what kind of feedback. You need to say, what did you think of this character? Was it compelling? Did this plot make sense? What did you think about the world? Did you find it interesting or boring? Very important. Very important. And then, if you choose to share any of your work online with a writing community, a subreddit like Destructive Readers, you need to be open to feedback. You need to be open to constructive criticism. And you also need to know when you get certain criticism, it's still up to you to decide whether or not you want to do anything about that. Not all criticism is great advice. It's still up to you. It's your story. It's still up to you to say, that's a good point. I'm going to make my change. Or accept that feedback, internalize it, but also internally say, that's how I want my story to be. Oh, you didn't like that there wasn't a romance. You know what? If this book was meant for a more general audience, maybe that's something I should do. But I'm okay with not doing that. It's not the kind of story I want to tell, or something like that. Yeah. Very important. I saw that there was a lot of activity in chat. I did not see any of it. If your readers consistently bring up a point, don't just brush it off as they don't understand. They are saying it for a reason. I usually try to get 3 to 4 readers if I can come up with opinions, meet most, and eliminate outliers. So here is the number one highest piece of advice. One time I saw someone who was asking about beta readers. I said they were going to try to find 100 beta readers. That's too much. That is too many beta readers. That's not the goal. When it comes to user experience, trying to see the best way to phrase this. It is a general rule in user experience, especially in the software industry, that you can get 80% of your feedback information from 5 users. And the idea is that when you get one person to provide feedback on something, every bit of feedback that they give is now new information to you. When that second person comes in, maybe there's a lot of new information there, but there's definitely going to be an overlap from what they recognize and provided feedback on and what the previous user also provided feedback on. Even if these two people are in very diverse, different positions. But you can also Google this user experience, user testing. It's probably the better way to say it. How many people should you use for user testing? You get 80% of the information that you need from just 5 users. Isabel says, my first story I got published, I was so pissed because everyone was like, this really needs a framing device, but I thought it was fine. I spitefully wrote a framing device and it was so much better. It is up to you to figure out what feedback do you take and apply versus what feedback do you acknowledge and choose not to apply. It's still your story. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's see what our last guy here says. No one cares. And this is the best and worst thing about writing. Now, this was a strange sentiment to me. No one cares what writers look like, which is a tough way to start this because I'm already like, where are you going? Where are you going? Few of them get recognized in the street, which means anyone can write a book and it'd be a big success. Singers aren't so lucky usually. The writer doesn't matter that much. Your friends aren't going to see you differently from being a writer. I don't really know what this point is about. I don't really know what so here's the deal. This is a nice sentiment, but unfortunately it is wrong. And you can look at controversy in the writing space over the past 4 or 5 years of certain writers being targeted in different ways because of things like what they look like or what they believe or how they live their life. Now, maybe what this poster is saying is like the general audience doesn't care who you are if you write a good story, but I also don't think that's true. I think we kind of live in a world where in a lot of cases you attach yourself and like the things you like with a person, with an identity. Of course, I'm talking about this from the perspective of a YouTuber, which is very much the kind of idea that like you personally being on the screen is like part of the process, and not everyone would be comfortable doing that. But the fact that like no one cares about this, just like share your work, and then it just meanders different ways. Hold on, it meanders different ways because down here they talk about do your best, don't get caught up in being tortured or getting rich, or not getting rich, or being vulnerable, or not being understood. Most books don't sell 1,000 copies. Of course, the ones that do, how many are... I don't know what's happening here. So for me, I'm just going to disagree with this point largely. And because if I find an author I like, I want to read more of their stories. And every story I read of that author, I am getting more attached to that author. I am going to seek more of their stories out. I am going to want to, kind of know who's behind the scenes personally. Maybe that's because I'm a writer. Let me know what you think. Margaret says, for me too, it was a humbling revelation to accept I might not be famous or special, and I have to publish with that in mind. Brutally honest, but it's partially true. Look, go back to my video on the Amazon ad scam, and I'll just reiterate the important part here. The important part here is that if you choose to self-publish a book, which is what I recommend personally, if you choose to self-publish a book, unless you are willing to do a lot more work and not take the easy path to self-publishing, like going through Amazon, the payoff is that you earn less per sale. All right? The royalties that you get from a book are crazy. There was another post I was reading, kind of thinking whether or not I wanted to put this up here on the screen, but it was Brandon Sanderson talking about royalties. And his first book sold 10,000 copies, which, obscure book, but that's pretty good sales numbers. And hardcover books, he made about $3. And paperback mass market copies, he made about 12 cents a sale. Even when you are going through traditional publishing, there are so many different slices of the pie going to so many different people. There's not always a lot of money left for the writer. And even things like advances. Let's say Carson writes another book, sells it to a traditional publisher, and they, in part of the sale, they agree to give him an advance. As a new author, let's disregard the fact that I even have a YouTube channel, that there's however many subscribers, because that doesn't translate to sales. Let's just ignore that fact completely and just say I'm a new writer. I wrote a book. I brought it to that publisher and they said, we're going to publish your book and here's your advance. A lot of you may not know that advance that first time author gets probably going to be $5,000-ish. $5,000-ish. And then after that book gets sold, all of the fees spent on advertising your book, on the sales of your book, all the fees spent on editors and marketing and all these things, all the effort and money that the publisher put in to trying to get your book out in the world, once that book goes out on bookshelves, if it even does, the first $5,000 that book makes doesn't go to you, the writer. That first $5,000 goes solely to the publisher to recoup the money that they spent on your advance, on other fees. And then after that point, you start making royalties. You start making the $3 per sale. You start making the 12 cents per mass market paperback. It's not a money game, I'll tell you that. Not a money game. And if you self-publish, it means you're putting more of that money up front in order to pay the cover artist, to do the editing, all that kind of stuff. And then you put it up where it needs to be. You immediately start making those royalties. But you know what? It's still $3, $4 a book that you make if people are buying the paperback. Isabel says, I've already got a full-time job. A $5,000 lump sum from my hobby would be pretty sick. And that's the mindset you need to have. Thinking that once you finish your first book, you'll be a full-time author and you can just write for the rest of your life. Unfortunately, not sustainable. Unless you're in a fortunate situation. But if you treat it as a hobby, let's go. That's just bonus money, baby. Bonus money. Kumi, hello. What is up? And I think that was the last thing from this Reddit post. Very interesting. Very interesting. All that good stuff. All that stuff. It is a great side gig. Oh, geez. It is a great side gig. Mostly because this is purely an expression of you telling a story. That's awesome. That's awesome. Margot can draw their own art. Oh, you lucky. Lucky. I wish I could draw. I wish I could draw. All right. Let's do some groundwork stuff. First things first. Shout out to Pro Writing Aid for partnering with this stream so we can run this without ads bothering us while we write. That's always awesome. You know I use Pro Writing Aid. It is my editing tool of choice. It's one of the first writing tools I invested in back in 2020, bought a lifetime license. And when I started doing the YouTube stuff, I reached out to them and I was like, please, I would love to partner with you. And they were like, you know, it's almost like, may I have a coin, sir? And they were like, no, get out of here. No, they were like, come on, let's go. And then we did this whole YouTube thing together. So that was super cool. I use Pro Writing Aid. You'll see me running some reports today. I find it super useful. I wouldn't be partnered with them if I felt differently. It is awesome. And right now they have a 50% off Black Friday sale. If you've ever wanted to try it, then now's the time. It doesn't get much better than 50% off. You can use the link down below to go check that out. I do not believe the discounts stack. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's a good tool. Good tool. Highly recommend it. All that being said, I think it's time to do some writing. You know what I'm saying? I think it's time to do some writing. For those who are here that maybe don't know, we are in the midst of Novella November. You saw the title somewhere up there. I think is how it is on YouTube. Novella November is just us doing writing together. Live streams where we have fun, we chat about story stuff, you ask questions, we discuss it, and then you know what happens next? We put 20 minutes on the clock and we all write together, and then we come back and we chat, we have a good time, and then we do it all over again. And it's that easy. By the end of the live stream, you've written for an hour, and that feels pretty good. So that is the plan. Let me roll up my writing sleeves. I think I'm about ready. Before we get started, do you have any questions about your story? Anything you are struggling with? Do you have a part of your story that you're stuck on? If you made it this far, in Novella November, you got one more week. You got to keep pushing. I don't want you to get stuck. Put it in the chat. We can talk about it before we start, but otherwise, I'm turning the lo-fi music up. I'm turning the microphone off, and I'm putting 20 minutes on the clock. Isabel is sprinting in the Discord. Another great way to just keep track of the progress that you make. It tracks how many words you write. It rewards you and ranks you among others to compare word counts and stuff. It's pretty fun. Highly recommend. You can find that in the Sprinting Room 1 channel. Is that what I called it? I can't remember. All right. Well, then I think it's time to do some writing. 20 minutes on the clock. Lo-fi music up. Oh my gosh, he's doing it. I'll see you on the other side. 20 minutes, let's do it. Writing sprint number 1 is done. Another fast 20 minutes. I'm telling you. You don't even expect it, and then bam, you did it. Isabel, 739 words. Does it get any better than that? I mean, come on, let's go. That's awesome. I'm at 27,924. 27,924. Oh, 924. You know, I found out, I was watching a video about the history of pirates. Don't judge, let me get to my point. And that accent that we know as the pirate accent was just like made up on the spot by an actor in the 1950s on the old movie Treasure Island. Completely never been done before. He's the one who started speaking like this. Talking to Polly on his shoulder. Atario, hello! Atario, so nice to see you in the chat. Just Guy, 286 words. JPB, 298 words. What else we got? Margot's at 106,000. Good progress, good progress. Yeah, this actor just like didn't even know he was about to make like a super crazy cultural phenomenon of an accent. Every pirate movie since then has used that pirate accent. Alright, it all comes back to Treasure Island. And Julia says, by the way, if you want the secret sauce to writing well, check out the Farland lecture series. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. Dario says, got home from a party at my university, so I won't be writing today. Let's go! Sounds like fun. I watched that pirate video yesterday. Exposed. Oh no, it was a really popular video. I'm not looking up niche pirate facts, I promise. Atario, we have the same YouTube algorithm. I bet you also get Fire Ships 100 seconds, note Dino or Svelte in 100 seconds. Let's see, what else? What else are you getting that I'm getting? Juxtaposed redesigning the entire what was that person called? Jux something? Oh, Atero's not getting Fire Ship. Sad. Sad. Isabel says, wait, I want the pirate sauce. That sounds so good. Look up, I think it was Wired. They do like tech support, but they'll do like, here's a pirate expert answering your questions for pirate support. Or here's this famous author answering your story questions on author support or writer support. They just bring a bunch of different experts in different fields and they answer a bunch of questions online about them. I think it's Wired. Walter Shirk says he got 320 words, something around there. That is awesome. That is awesome. What is the best pirate story? Pirate book specifically. JPB says, I heard the accent was supposed to be a West Country accent since the ship came from Bristol, but he couldn't really manage it. That's probably the case. Watch one about private investigators. Now I want to become one if writing ain't working out. You know what? That sounds... you should watch Castle, the writer gone investigator. Good show. Decent show. Decent show. Wired sounds like Wired, but there are many channels like that. Yeah. True. There's a really good one. I think there's 2 parts on being a mortuary. Someone who owns a funeral home. Maybe it was a funeral home director. But they had a really good guy who was talking about all the questions people had about what happens in the funeral home and how they make people look presentable for like open casket and stuff. And It's crazy. Yeah, that guy's awesome. He did more than one. It was so popular they brought him back. Here's a question for you. Let's say that Wired did an author version of that. What author would you most want to see answering questions on story? What author would you most want to see? I think I'd want to see Steven Erikson, who did Malazan Book of the Fallen, because those books are insane. Kurt Vonnegut, but he's passed away, but he does have a bunch of great lectures online you can find. The Shape of Stories is one of my all-time favorites. The Pirate Investigator. That's pretty funny. Steven Erikson, Malazan Book of the Fallen, who is also a archaeologist. And so a lot of his stories, which are about these huge, epic, sprawling fantasies that are unlike anything you've ever seen, dealing with hundreds and thousands of years of history, and civilizations come and gone, uses his knowledge of archaeology in those stories for how it would go about a city being built on top of an old civilization city, and how the seismic structure would do all this crazy stuff. Dean Koontz, I feel like he's super wholesome and just about to do acid. I haven't read a single Dean Koontz book yet, and I need to rectify that. Everyone says the Weird Thomas books are always the ones, or Watchers, I think, is another one. The Watchers, I think, was another popular one. Rick Riordan would be awesome. That's a good one, Phantom. Patrick O'Brien. I don't think I'm certain about that one. I don't know who Patrick O'Brien is. I think one of the authors I would love to see is Anthony Horowitz. Oh, Master and Commander. I see. Anthony Horowitz, I think is his name, who has done some iconic books that I think he did. I watched an interview of him talking about story stuff, talking about mysteries in particular, in preparation for this book. And it was really good. But Anthony Horowitz wrote the Alex Rider books, which was like James Bond for kids. But he also wrote, let's see if I can find the cover for it. Also wrote something else. Wrote like 20 books about Captain Jack Aubrey and Stephen. Yeah. I've seen that Master and Commander is like a perfect book. One of those books that everyone says perfect. I swear that Anthony Horowitz did. Where can I? Maybe I'm wrong. There was a book of scary stories. A book of scary stories that I felt like was iconic for like my generation of readers. Might it be Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? Wasn't this Anthony Horowitz? No. Does anyone remember this book? Maybe he's done one. Anyone remember this book? Also, dude, this should not be a book cover that's advertised to kids. Are you kidding me? That's terrifying. Look at that. If you dare. And just guy says, at least we still have Bowie. I won't make any joke. I swear that there was an Anthony Horowitz one. I feel like there was one other. I saw this one too. Burned in my brain. Alvin Schwartz. I thought Anthony Horowitz wrote that. That's why we're looking at. Those are some great covers. Stephen Gamble. Let's see what else Stephen Gamble's done. Okay. Pro tip. When you find book covers that you like, go try to see more information about the designer. And I tell you to do that mostly because about 85% of the time, you will not be able to find out who the book cover artist is. And it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating. This one, oh, I remember that one. Oh. One of the most frustrating things about being a self-published writer and seeing other self-published works out there, and you see a book cover and you're like, I want a book cover like that. And then you just can never find out who made that book cover, because most of the time it's just not even present in any information about the book. Drives me crazy. Because in the self-published space, a lot of times you're working with freelance book cover designers. I want to give them some more work. I love their style. I want some of that. Really love the movie too. I heard that, I never saw the movie, but I did see a clip of one of the monsters, and I can't remember if all of them were done practically, but there's this one really bendy guy, like walking backwards and stuff, that was done mostly practically. And it looked real creepy, I'll tell you that. Justin says, give it 5 years, all book covers will be designed by the Beep Beep. The Beep Beep. All hail our Beep Beep overlords. Yeah, JPB says, I've already walked into a bookshop and they had whole rows of shelves with classics that had AI covers. Here's the deal with classics. And this is wild to me. First off, all of those classic books are in the public domain. So the publisher isn't paying anyone for the text of that book. Like, you can, if I wanted to right now, I could go onto Amazon and I could be like, I have a publishing house and I want to do copies of Creative Commons books like Treasure Island and Gulliver's Travels and Don Quixote and, Beowulf. And especially now that there is such a big ramp into AI, all of these companies that aren't paying anything for the text are now like, yo, what if we also didn't have to pay anything for the covers? And now it's just pure profit. That's crazy. Which means if you have a kid going through school and they need to read Treasure Island for summer reading, if you really wanted to, you could just grab it off of Project Galileo or whatever that thing's called, right? Project Gutenberg, that's what it is, Gutenberg. I haven't, dude, all those classic books, it's all just Creative Commons. It's available for you. So now it's up to you for what, if you want to have that on your bookshelf, you should have a million different options for what publisher, what cover designer, what printer is printing it. You can find the cover that you really like. For those who don't know, this is one of my favorite things. We're going to do this real fast and then we'll do our second sprint. I got to show you this. I have an addiction. I have an addiction. And I'm going to share it with you. There's a couple of specialty printers that I'm always monitoring what books they have for sale. And I'm going to share some with you. because I think you might like this too. So for those who don't know, some really cool things you can do. Juniper Books. This is a retailer that does these special design printed versions of book covers. And here's a really cool thing that they do. If, let's say you had all the Hunger Game books and you wanted to have like a really cool, fancy, nice decoration of those Hunger Game books on your shelf, you could go through Juniper Books and buy a collection of those. But you also, I'll show you like the Harry Potter ones. But you also, if you already have the books, this company will sell you just the printed jackets to wrap your books, and you don't have to spend another dime on an actual, like, another set of Harry Potter books. And then you get to have this on your bookshelf. And I think that's awesome. So Juniper Books does fancy sleeves, fancy dust jackets, basically. Or like, look at this, the Wheel of Time. You see this on like Daniel Green, if you watch Daniel Green's YouTube channel. You see this on like Daniel Green's bookshelf in the background. That's beautiful. But even just the jackets for the books, $375. But it looks super dope. What's version 2? Heck, I didn't even see these other versions. These are for different sizes of. All right, so that's cool. Juniper Books, very neat. You happen to already have all the Harry Potter books? Great. You can grab some dust jackets and make them look super nice. But if you want to go one step further, then I recommend you check out Folio, the Folio Society. In the Folio Society, these are like super pristine printings of books. Some of them are going to be older ones, The Nutcracker. Some of them are going to be fairly new, Howl's Moving Castle, Game of Thrones, Dune. But all of these are like so nice. So nice. Goodbye to some of those that we are losing as they head off to bed. Sleep tight. Sleep tight. Look, 1984. Look at that. That's beautiful. I got a... Let's see if they still have it. I picked up a copy of their printing of The Princess Bride. Oh my god, it's beautiful. It's got illustrations all inside. Look at this. Like comic books. Hardcover, feels pristine, gilded with gold foil. That's beautiful. And some of these aren't so bad. I mean, $80 for a book is of course expensive. But for some of the other like printings that they have on here, you get like fiction bestsellers. Some of these will be more expensive than that $80 printing. I've been eyeballing this one for a while. I've never read the Gormenghast trilogy, but I've heard good things. And their printing looks pretty cool. But some of those like Creative Commons kind of books, so like a collection of H.P. Lovecraft stuff, you can find in these kind of printings. They have a great Lord of the Rings printing. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I love looking through all these different kinds of websites. No Country for Old Men, Frankenstein, Alice in Wonderland, The Road, Game of Thrones. Their Game of Thrones printings are so good, but they're so expensive. Like, this is part 1, part 2 of just the first Game of Thrones book. $230. Makes me inspired picturing my own books illustrated. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. But they typically do, like, some of these bigger books, they'll have, like, part 1, part 2, But then also, they have like a nice folded up. Oh, look at that. That's crazy. Yeah, like a folded up map. Even the inside, that's so good. Now, the thing with all these, the reason you don't see these all over the place is that one, of course, it's expensive to design and get printed, and you know, it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of money, but also this is all licensed. So that $230 that you're paying, a big portion of that is still going to, you know, the companies that own like the Game of Thrones rights. So a lot of times you might see like a Folio Society. I think they have a Game of Thrones one, and it is not nearly as good. Considering this is just paper, I hate it. I'm sorry, I hate it. And what? $375. So not nearly as good, but like, hey, if you wanted something like that, there's better printings of Game of Thrones elsewhere, but like, that's pretty. It's pretty. I guess that's what I should say. It's pretty. There's one other site to show here, and it's called, who's doing the new printings of the Malazan? New prints. That's outrageous, yeah. Subterranean Press. This is another one, and they do mostly science fiction, fantasy, and horror. So they do some cool design kind of books. They're of course not going to be as pretty as the ones that we just saw. I really want to read Babel by R.F. Kuang, by the way. I think it's going to be, I've heard great things. But if you pick up a book that's just like, you know, at the bookstore and you really like it, sometimes Subterranean Press will go through and do like a much more graphically interesting, visually interesting cover to it. Wonder if they have the Malazan ones here. Dude, they're so good. So good. All right. Let's get out of here. We got work to do. Where are we? What are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah, Isabel, good luck. Good luck fighting the urge. I think for my birthday, that's when I got the Princess Bride. Or it was like celebrating like a new job or like a raise or something. I was like, I'm going to allow myself this one time, this fancy book. Yeah, Justin says you can just bind it yourself. Make it as pretty as you want. I did that with a copy of East of Eden. I did my own binding of that because I thought, like, first off, book binding as like a whole thing itself, super cool. Not super hard. Definitely like a little tedious, take some time, lots of like watching YouTube videos, but like feels so cool when you're done to be like, this is mine. Look at it. That Howl trilogy. Yeah, there's more printing companies out there that are doing those fancy design ones, but those are my three favorites. You can find a couple other printing houses that are doing just like nice leather copies of books. But I personally, I get the aesthetic. I like more than just this is leather, and that's why it's nice. I like an interesting design. And there are other printing houses that'll do the leather, just not as interesting. But Folio Society, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. The good thing about the Juniper books, which does those like fancy jackets to go on your book to make them look a little bit nicer, is that you can find like the full hardcover version of like the Harry Potter series on eBay for a lot less than you would have to buy it new if you had to go out of your way to go find it somewhere else. But Leaf Society, who knew people like leaves? The hold on, there's a Naruto joke here. I can't find it because it's hidden. Oh, he's so up to date on his anime references. That's so good, so good. All right. I think it's time to do some more writing. We have enough time for 2 more sprints and a little bit of hangouts. So why don't we go ahead and knock out our other sprint? And it means by the end of everything here, you will have done an hour of writing. That's awesome. So we're going to do the same thing. Bringing the music up. Just like that. Microphone off. Let's do it. See you in 20 minutes. Good luck, everyone. Have a great time. Disappear in your stories. I think that's all I got. Marco's at the climax of their fight scene. Blow it up. Blow it up. Have a ball. I'll see you in 20 minutes. Look at that. I didn't even see the timer go off. I was so wrapped up in the story. Isabel got 682 words. Nice. Isabel, how far are you in your story? Like percentage-wise, do you think? Margot up to 107K? That's gotta feel good. Did you get through your battle? Or is it still going on? How'd everyone else do? I'm at 28,414. Just have to decide who wins. Just Guy says 647 now. That's awesome. Good progress. Isabel, well, as a whole, I'm like 80K out of 90K, but I don't know if I can wrap things up in 10,000 words. I think at that point, you disregard the 90K sort of limit thing that you were at, and you just write till it feels like you ended it right. You know what I mean? JPB, 385 words. Nice. When I was doing Starlight Farms, by the time I got to... Let's see. By the time I got to the final climax, I was just like, it's time, like this is like this whole section here. I started writing the climax and I was like, nothing matters right now but trying to nail this moment, right? So I was just like, I remember that day too, because that entire day was like, I did it all in one day, you know? So the entire climax and resolution, like my fingers were just on fire. I was just like, I'm riding it out. I'm just like taking it all the way to the end. This is the home stretch. And it was just an experience. Just got to reach that spot. I hope you have a good time with it. Yeah, I hope you have a good time. It's an exciting moment. I think I ended up hitting 9 or 10,000 words in one day for that big climactic ending and the resolution. And the cool part was, so you might know how the story is going to end with the big climactic ending, but put the same thought into the resolution. The resolution is so important, right? The resolution of just like providing that finality, that closure, that like seeing how the world is different. And I don't know if you're writing like a single book or like a series, because they're going to have different levels of resolution depending on what you're doing. But like, it was almost like a, you know, like you've heard the term like fan service, when a show will do something specifically for the fans to be like, woo! Writing the resolution for your book should be fan service to you, the author. Because you've been with these characters for so long. Kiara says about 300 words, gearing up for the big climax. That's so exciting. I love the fact that in Novella November, the fact that we have multiple people sort of encountering the same kind of moments and parts of their story at the same time. Right? So whether you started at the beginning of November or you already had like a story you were working on that was X amount of 1,000 words when we started, like for me, I'm like very securely in Act 2, but I'm probably going to be there for a while. Like I'm definitely not going to finish my total, like my entire story by the end of November. But I will probably be maybe over halfway, I would say. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know how many people who started their stories in November. I wonder how far percentage-wise they feel that they're in. Do we have anyone here who started their story for Novella November in November? And if so, where are you at? I'd say, if I'm just guessing, I'd say I'm probably in the 30% range. This is well past the ending. I think I'm probably in like the 30% range for the total story that needs to be told here. But like, I don't know if anyone happened to see my screen while I was doing my writing. I like very quickly, yeah, just guys says started in November, but the idea came before that. That's okay, totally fine. You still started writing here, and so it's kind of interesting to see like how far you've been able to get just in this 1 month. For those who, I don't know if anyone saw when I was writing, because everyone was so focused on their own writing. I got here where I'm having this big conversation. We're finally getting a lot of information for who the victim of this murder was. So that's going to lead us to starting to figure out who we think might be the suspects. I can already tell there's going to be a lot of coming back and editing these kind of moments, because it is so important to almost like a mystery book to get these kind of conversations right. How much information do we get as a reader? And is that too little for us to be able to do the things we need to do next? Is it too much? You know, you got to find that kind of like middle spots. JPB says, I did in the live streams and I'm mostly working on the second act now. Nice. Yeah, dude. Same. Kiara says, I started in November, but started with phase 2. Next week, I'll be writing phase 1. But I'm about 70%-ish of the way done. That's awesome. An interesting approach, non-linear writing. But you know what? I could see that really, really working. When you can just like sort of start off with like, I know what's going to be happening after the inciting incident. I'm just going to go from here. And then I'm going to come back and really nail down the beginning. I like starting at the beginning, but I see the value. Just got a little over 50%. Let's go, dude. That's awesome. Just guy's been here, write or die from the beginning. But I remember, so there's a very important thing that's happening with my story is the fact that one of the things that the killer does in this small little community is they are always stirring up rumors and gossip and trouble and secrets and lies about other people to get like attention off of him. And so I need in this scene to sort of start to plant the idea that the rumors that we hear in this little town are nefarious and wrong. So that in the end of the book, that's going to be one of the kind of like things that we track down that's going to give us a hint at who the killer might be. Is where is everyone hearing all these things about all these different people, and it's all coming from this one very manipulative character. So in this chapter that I'm writing here, I just realized I hadn't really put a lot of emphasis on that idea so far in my book. So I made a note, hey, when you're editing, go back, emphasize rumors and things like that and the gossip nature of this small town earlier in my story so that I can pay it off here and still be able to use it later in the book. And that's thank God for editing, because that's a pretty major part of my story and I'm just like, haven't put so much focus on it. I'll do better. Kiara says, I struggle with the middle of the most. So I decided to start there and it helped a lot with staying on track with my writing. Very interesting. Yeah, the middle 50% of your story is notoriously the hardest part. Notoriously. Number one, because like, of course, it's half your whole book. Duh. But also, it's so easy to be like, my story's going to start with this bang, and it's going to end with this bang, and now here's everything else that needs to happen. Only it was that easy. All right, we got 10 minutes left in the live stream. Let's run another 10-minute sprint and just end strong. That's all we're asking for. 10 more minutes, put your nose down, fingers on the keyboard, or if you're writing by hand, that's crazy, but that's okay. The middle 50 was pretty much defined for me. That's good. And you know what? Good planning will kind of do that. Let's do 10 minutes of writing. End with a bang. Feel good about what we did. Yeah, that's the deal. Lo-fi music up. Let's go. 10 more minutes. Finish strong. Turns out 10 minutes goes by even faster than 20. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Oh. You would have put the dialogue in the same line as the action? Clearly you don't know how to emphasize a moment. I'm just playing. Get out of here. Get out of here. I take none criticisms. I take none criticisms. None. Katie, hello. You got here just in time for the ending. Hello. I only exist to antagonize. That sounds like that would be a good character in a book. I got sucked into the scene. I totally forgot about the timer. I was in this. I finally found a way to get past this hump of interrogation and turn it into a moment of characters now relieved to be able to talk about something that was so crazy. He says, how to take the cat to the vet, otherwise I would have been here sooner. Oh, I hope the cat's okay. Let's hope it was just an easy, normal checkup. Well, we missed you. We missed you. 8765. Hope everything's okay. Margot finished the fight scene. Let's go. Oh, man. Friday night. Feeling all right. Getting down on Friday. She's a notorious poor toothbrusher. There's literally dozens of us. Just kidding. Okay. All right. Everyone, thank you for tuning in for another Novella November live stream. You know what next week is? Hold on, let's bring it into the big view. Next week is the final week. The final week of Novella November. JPB with the cat Vadiz joke. Love it. Love it. The final week of Novella November. Here's the plan. Here's what I got kind of figured out. We will likely do our week of normal live streams. There is one thing. I don't know if it affects anyone here. I announced it on Thursday. The Tuesday live stream, which is normally done earlier in the day, will instead be at this time slot. So, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the same time slots. This one right here. So if you can't make the Tuesday, Thursday live streams normally, well, you're in luck. It's shifting to the later time slot. I have to pick up some family from the airport. Let's go. So, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Same crowd. This may have been my best November yet, Loki. Isabel, this may have been your best November yet. I didn't see you said the word yet. I was gonna make a point about how you're gonna do even better next year, but you beat me to it. Awkward. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday will all be on the same normal time or same time slot that we're doing right here, and Thursday will be our Cross the Seas one. What happens after Novella November? For some of us, maybe we have finished our story. For others of us, maybe we are partway through. I highly encourage you to keep writing. If you have not finished your story, I will keep doing that myself. If you want to, you can continue to post your updates in the Novella November Hangout, like a progress report kind of chat that we have in the Discord. Some point in December, that will be archived. If there's anything that you need out of there, I'll make sure you have plenty of notice so you can get that out before it's archived. In December, we are going to do a Starlight Farms Kennel for Talking Dogs full story breakdown, expose, talk about everything about the writing process, break down my Scrivener project, just do a whole deep dive into this. I will get you the PDF that has the story breakdown if you want to have that yourself, where you can read a lot of the things I'll be putting up on screen and everything. So that will be full spoilers. If you would like to read the book before that, I am going to do my best to set up a sale. I haven't done it before. I've never done the sale on Amazon, but I will be doing my best to try to set up a sale, especially for the ebook, because I feel like that's a really accessible, cheap way to be able to get the book. So I will set that up so that if you would like to read it before we do that live stream, of course you can. That will be full expose. You will see everything that I have in my Scrivener. We will talk about all the mistakes that I made, the things that I still think need to be improved. This will be the best chance if you have questions for everything that happens after you write your first draft, after you start doing your editing, the writing business side of things, the publishing side of things. That'll be a great time to ask questions. I highly recommend you join, because there will be a ton of good information there. I'll talk about things like cover design, the exact person I used on Fiverr, what that process was like, choosing the blurb on the back of the book, how I did that, all that kind of stuff. So, highly recommend, especially if you are excited with your new novel, that you want to go share it with the world. That would be great stuff to have. Let's see, what else? In December, I've got some other things kind of planned that we're going to do. In January, we're going to tackle another writing challenge, hopefully. Look forward to that. And then at some point, date to be determined, I will bring back these kind of live streams for a short amount of time as we do some editing. Just like how a lot of people found it helpful doing this writing on stream together, editing can be just the same kind of process. Sometimes you just need an excuse to sit down and get started and make those mistakes, try to figure out how to do editing right, ask questions about the things that you might be confused on. Are you doing it right? And this can be a great sort of platform to do that. So if you're able to finish your story, I don't know why I'm still holding this. It's a really good book, though. If you are able to get to a good point in your story, you don't even have to be fully done with it to do this editing stuff. But we will go through and I'll talk about how I use like Pro Writing Aid to do all that stuff. Running some reports, going through, figuring out if a scene needs to be changed, how and why, things like that. That'll all be done. It won't be a full month. It may not even be a full week, but I would like to sit down with you all again to talk about editing, because it is a little bit different. So I'll keep you all up to date on that. Let's see what else. I think that's all I have for you. I had a good time tonight. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Margaret says, if anyone wants editing help, I'm happy to do a trade where we can help each other with feedback. One of the things I want to do in the Discord at some point in the future is to set up beta reading. For those who are in this Discord now who've been working on your stories, if you feel like you get them to that point where you've done your proto draft, you've tweaked them in that first draft, you have all the information down, that would be a great chance to share with others for beta reading. Basically, trading stories, reading through what this person has. I would say try to do it in chunks as opposed to say, here's 100,000 words, please read this, thank you. But instead, why don't we each read the first 15,000 words, give good feedback, and then see if we want to both continue doing this. Pro tip. So I'd like to set that in the Discord up at some point. It's a little complicated with how I want to do it, but I will keep you all updated. That is something that I'm working towards. Let's see if there's anything else. Video went out today. The video coming out next week is a really good one. I really hope you like the video next week. I worked really hard on it. That doesn't always translate to a better video, but to me, it's a better video because I put so much more focus on it. When we talk about beta reading, we'll talk about things like Isabel says, like, you know, this has some themes. We'll talk about content warnings, stuff like that, how to make sure you know what you're getting into, how to communicate that to your beta readers so they can opt into it. Beta Beta reading is something I didn't do on this besides sharing it with my wife and getting her feedback. If you're here for the story breakdown, when we do the story breakdown here, I have a list of notes that she gave back to me. And I made sure as I was making those changes to the story or not making changes to certain things, I was documenting how and why I was going to do it, or how and why I was going to not do it. So again, I highly recommend joining the live stream when we do this big breakdown. This is going to be huge. Margaret says, I always get confused with content warning stuff. I'm overcautious, but I worry if I resist that, I'll be undercautious. Put all the information out, let other people decide. The best way to do it for sure. All that being said, shout out to Pro Riding Gate. Thank you for partnering us with the live stream. It's been such a good time. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. Being able to chat about story stuff is always so much fun. Next week, we're going hard into the productivity side. We're going to be writing focused, productive, getting the words down. I'm excited for it. It's been vibalicious. My God, hasn't it? Hasn't it been vibalicious? The only people who have not enjoyed the live streams have been my dogs. They get sequestered upstairs so they don't bark and you hear them through the microphone. So every live stream that ends, I open the door, my wife lets them out from, takes the baby gate down that we have upstairs for the dogs, and they come hurtling down. Hurtling down. Bring them to the live streams. I may have a plan or two. We'll see. Look, if there's one thing that I know how to do, is how to make a live stream fun. Whether it's opening the live stream, playing guitar, and being dumb on on video. That's what you can expect from Writing Theory, and that's what makes Writing Theory different from other channels. I'm not afraid to be dumb. Shout out being silly on live stream. It makes everyone have a better time, and that makes me have a better time. Shout out. All right, bam. Are they still saying that? Is that still in the lexicon? I am checking out. I hope everyone had a great time. I had a great time. Dogs are barking for me upstairs. I'm gonna go get tackled by 2 big furry dogs and stomped on and go play with them. And I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. Goodbye, everyone. It's been nice hanging.